Hey everybody, and welcome to another video. Now in this video I'm gonna be painting the Gaelic troops from the Epic Battles Hannibal set, which I got about a month ago. Um, Now in the last video, what I did was I built the Roman watchtower in preparations for this. And if you haven't seen the video, go check out the video in the top right corner, right there. Okay, so I decided instead of doing the elephants, which would have been the most obvious choice for something easy to start with, I decided to start with the Gaelic infantry. Um, I reckon if you're gonna go in slightly big, not too big, but slightly big. The painting of the free frame that I got with Wargame Illustrated helped because gave me an idea on how far things have progressed for Epic Battles. If you haven't seen the video of me painting the free frame, which is actually the Roman frame, the link is in the top right corner right there. Yeah. So painting that frame was kind of good because it got me pretty much ready to work on this one. Um, Now what I decided to do was I decided to take the plunge and paint all of the Gaelic one go, Gaelic infantry one go. Simply because I think the only way to complete this properly is to really take chunks out of the set. So what I did first was I did some research on the shields for the this unit, and having looking, I mean, I use a little big man studios for the decals, and it was kind of good because it gave me an idea on how I wanted to tackle the shields. The shields, I think, was going to be the most important part of making this unit look good. Now in the Hannibal set, you get two divisions of this Gaelic troops, and because of that, you know, like I said, was much better idea to just do them in one chunk and not be too concerned about you know um, whether it's going to be easy or not, because you're going to end up painting them anyway, so might as well. Yeah, so I researched the shields, and I knew, okay, fine, this is the shields I want to go for. And then what I decided to do was I decided to in order for me to keep some cohesiveness, I chose a small pool of colors that I was going to use for my shields. These colors include the army painters pure red, the army painters deep blue, the army painters crystal blue, the army painters matte white, the army painters um, green skin, the army painters elemental bolt. This was in order for me to make sure that if I would look at the army from a distance, the small palette would actually give some cohesiveness, and also would keep my sanity while trying to put together this two divisions, because if there were too many colors for me to choose from, I think I've gone slightly mad. But yeah. And then there was a matter of the back of the infantry. Now I had early decided on going with a limited palette. Now, I was speaking to SL, who came by the store, and he recommended painting all the the capes on one division one color, and all the capes on another division another color. I thought that was a great idea because it would lean into my need to make things regular instead of irregular. And then I was speaking to Brandon later, and this wouldn't have been a problem because what SL was saying was if I kept everything in one color and then the other capes another color, I would be able to differentiate. But Brandon came by. He obviously had gone through the rulebook very, very quickly, and he had said, yeah, it doesn't really matter which. So I was like, okay, which brought me to. Besides, I don't think it would have looked that good. It would just make painting the infantry set so much easier. So I decided on using another technique, and what that was for the back of uh, the infantry, I decided to choose and go for a small palette as well. Now, all of the skin color was the same tone. I went with Army Painter's ruby skin, as I wanted, at least that part to be the same color for both divisions. And then I chose this time I chose Vallejo army color simply because then everything will more or less blend into each other, but have that nice variety as well. And I chose to go with German camo, medium brown, and I went with Army Painter's army green. Then I did Samo Vallejo, and I went with Vallejo's reflective green. Then I went with Vallejo's German field gray, and I did a little bit of browns as well with brown violet and some khaki. So with just 6 colors, I was hoping that again this would keep my sanity intact, and also to get a nice effect throughout the whole army, whole 2 divisions I was going to do. Then looking at the sprues, I highly recommend cleaning the sprues, because the flash, while usually I'm not really too fussed about the flash, but especially for this one, I think going through the flash actually was quite good for me, because again, it was easier for me to paint when it comes to all this. I also standardized a few things. So I standardized the color of the spears. I standardized the plumes, the helmets. I kept the helmets to either having metal helmets or bronze helmets, and then the hoods for some of the capes, followed the cape. So in that sense, I tried to keep things as cohesive as possible. And this paint project took about 10 days to do. So right after I was done with the Roman watchtower, I started on this. Now what I would do is I would sit down and commit at least like a couple of hours a night or session to getting them done, because they're so small. You can't really sit down for a very long time. And I think having them done in 10 days was not bad. It was pretty good. I mean, I thought it was fast enough. Yeah. So let me give you some tips on how to get this done properly, or get this done as easy as you can. Now, the first thing I want to say is choose one skin tone for them all, and just do all the skin tones first. Once you've done all the skin tones, it helps, because so what I did to start off was, again, I gave the figures primer of black, and I gave a zenithal of white. But the zenithal was really more just to see the detail. So going in there with ruby skin for me was a good idea, because I'd already was able to separate a large part of the 2 divisions off with just one color. And I would highly recommend doing that first, because once you've done that, it's easy to go back in and pick and choose. The other tip I wanna give is to do them all together. So when you get your Hannibal set, or if you get your 1 division of the infantry, do them all in one go. I know some folks would do frame by frame, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think you want to get it done and not have to go back and start again. So tip number 2 is do them all in one go. Tip number 3 is to take your time, because actually the sculpts for the figures are very, very good. Good enough that if you just give it a little bit more effort, you would actually see some very, very good results. The sculpts are very, very nice. They've actually moved very, very far from the American Civil War figures that they've done. Now, I painted some American Civil War. If you want to look at that, the link for that is in the description. It is in the top right corner. Another tip that I want to share very, very quickly is also to use when you're using paints for smaller figures. I don't really recommend using a wet palette, because you're really using very little paint one go, especially if using this technique. Now, if you're using if you're going to paint the skin, yes, use a wet palette for the skin, but a normal palette would suffice for a project like this, because it's very small, and you're using little bits of paint, in one go. So that's my tip, which I use for my two divisions. The other thing I also want to say that made this army look really good was me using the Army Painter Quick Shade soft tone. I used the soft tone because of the skin tone of the infantry. They were very pinkish, and I didn't want to go for a dark tone. I decided to go for a soft tone instead. I like how it turned out because the units look relatively brighter, as opposed to if I was going to use a dark tone as a finish. As for the base, there was a big problem with deciding what kind of base I was going to go for. Initially, I was thinking of going for a more desert sand kind of look, but I think what changed my mind was I realized the amount of basing that I'll be doing, and with that, I also realized the amount of work would have been seriously reduced if I was a bit smart about choosing the kind of basing that I want to go for. So for this one, I went for more brown battleground, which I got from Army Painter, simply because it's easier to put on. And now for this basing, I went for something darker instead of something light, simply because I wanted the base to not pop so much and let the viewer's eye move towards the figures. So I think for the whole Carthaginian army, the basing will be more or less the same. It will be either brown battleground or black battleground, and a mixture of both. Simply because, like I said, I wanted the base to be darker and not go for a lighter sand look. So yeah, this pretty much done. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and if this is the pace I'm gonna go with, the army should be done by the end of the year, or even sooner. Now, if you like what I'm doing, follow me on my channel, because I'm at the moment. I mean, I'm definitely in the epic battles mode of videos. It'll be interspersed with other palette cleansing videos with me painting other figures, but I'll predominantly try to finish the whole epic battles Hannibal Carthaginian set as fast as I can, and try to get some games in. Show some support with a like and subscribe, and don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.